Bristol was fucking amazing.
High, push it, checker flag, hell yeah!
What's the caution for? Mate,
can I not push it in?
Stop anybody.
Come on, he's going! Way to go, boys! One hell of a job, man, one hell of a job. Thank you so much.
I'm still dumbfounded by that one. Bristol was amazing. I don't care what anybody tells me. Welcome on into Shifting Gears after a wild, epic, amazing Bristol race. I'm Alan Bailey. I'm still dumbfounded by that one. Seriously, I'm like, that was so amazing. That is what motorsports is. That's what motorsports should be. That's racecraft. That's every element of what makes racing amazing. And that was perfect. Like, no, it wasn't perfect of a race. There was some, issues here and there, but overall, wow, I'm dumbfounded by it. We're going to break down Denny Hamlin's wild win out at Bristol. Christian Eckes holds off Kyle Busch at Bristol. Huh? Like, that's possible? I didn't think that was possible, but he did it. Hendrick Motorsports led their 80,000th lap. Like, what? Crazy. And we've got some news regarding NASCAR possibly going to Japan. Oh boy. Kyle Busch pit problems. Circuit of the Americas is this weekend. So there is a lot to talk about. Before we get into everything, though, make sure that you mash that subscribe button so that you do not miss a video. And of course, log on to arnrace.com for the latest motorsports news. ARN, the Motorsports Authority. Like, I'm a little just like amped up. And like, here's how I know it was a great race. Here's how I know I enjoyed that race. And this should be the benchmark for you as well. I didn't want it to end. I was sad when Denny Hamlin won, not just because Denny Hamlin won, but because it was over. I didn't want to see that race end. I wanted to keep watching that race for another 5 hours. Seriously, it was a little under 3 hours, a little over 3 hours around that mark, and that's fine. It did not feel that long to me. It was brilliant. More of that, please. And I know people are going to be like, no, the tire wear. It was like Indy 08. I saw that comparison online. What? Like, what are you talking about? Let's talk about that for a moment. This was not Indianapolis 08. Indianapolis 08 was a disaster. Goodyear admitted it was a disaster. NASCAR admitted it was a disaster. Indianapolis Motor Speedway admitted it was a disaster. This is not that. It is not even close. Indy 08, you were going like anywhere from 6 laps to like 9-10 laps tops. I think the longest run we saw all day that day was like 11, I want to say, if memory serves. And yes, I watched that race live. It wasn't the best, let's just say. This is not that. We did not see tire failures after 10 laps, 20 laps, 30 laps. No. We saw tire issues after, I think it was maybe 50-ish laps, give or take. Like, that was kind of the sweet spot all day. And I mean, we went like, it was like 110 laps on that final green flag run that ended the race. I never, ever thought we would see that. Ever. I can't remember the last time we saw 100 plus laps with green flag cycled through pit stalls on a short track in the closing laps. Like, it's been a minute since that happened, and damn, I miss that excitement. Damn, I miss that, what's going to happen? Is everybody going to get on and off pit road? I mean, these drivers, they were complaining at the beginning of the race saying, red flag the race and redo the racetrack, put more resin down, put this down, put changes, this is a disaster. They were screaming on the radio for NASCAR to get involved and do something. And then as the race went on, it was like, no, you're going to have to work for your supper today. Go out there and you're going to get it done. Get up on that wheel, or don't get up on that wheel, more specifically. And it worked. We saw a really good race right there at the end, and that is cool. That is awesome. I thoroughly enjoyed that, but let's actually talk about it. In case you missed the race, in case you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, right side tires all day. Tires is the story of Bristol. It is the main problem at Bristol. Or is it? Let's talk about this for a second. We saw the right sides wearing and going down to cords, some as early as 40 laps into the run, when drivers were pushing it hard. But then right there at the end, we were seeing tire issues every maybe 55 to 65 laps. That's when you would see the fall off, depending on when you go, how hard you go at the beginning or the end of this run. And that created comers and goers. That created the guys who would have to duck onto pit road sooner and then have to go back out there and try to get those laps back and get the good out of the tires. But oops, I ran too hard and ran them into the ground. Oopsie. But you might ask yourself, what caused the rights to wear significantly quicker than those left side tires? Resin. It's this little sticky substance that you put down onto the racetrack. There's two types. There is what is known as PJ1, which is another substance altogether. Do not ask me what the difference is between these two. I am not an engineer. And then we have resin. The resin is what was put down on the upper groove out at Bristol today, and that caused interesting characteristics of the racetrack. As a race goes on, typically the rubber that comes off those tires lays into the racetrack, and it more or less creates more grip on the racetrack, and the tires, once they're replaced on the car, do not wear as quickly as they did at the beginning of the race. We did not see that in this race. We saw more or less the same tire wear throughout the entire race, which is very, 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 very strange. You were seeing cording on the right side. What does cording mean? Cording is when the actual rubber from the tire comes off in such great amounts, you get down to the base layer of the tire. You literally wear the tire down to nothing, where these cords are in the tire itself to keep the tire apart, or together, I should say, at a higher speed. And that is, that's basically wearing that tire down to nothing, to the point where they pop, which is exactly what happened to some drivers, and they had to hold on to it in the closing laps and throughout this race and get her onto pit road, and they did that. And I cannot say enough about two things. Goodyear bringing sincerely the perfect tire out here to Bristol with this resin to create amazing racing. You had comers, you had goers, you had guys that were going harder and going a little bit lighter on the throttle and on their car early and late in the run. You had a variety of strategies that were beautiful to watch play out in real time. I'm sitting there and I don't know what to watch because there is so much happening on the racetrack at one given moment. That is sheer perfection. More of that, please. Please, NASCAR. Please, NASCAR, Goodyear, do not change a fucking thing. Leave it alone. I'm being 100% dead serious. Put that exact same resin in that exact same amount. Hell, leave the truck that put it on the racetrack out there at Bristol and don't touch it until we get there in the fall, because this was perfect. I'm not joking. I am not doing this for clickbait or whatever. I'm being 100% sincere here. That was amazing. And I know that there's a minority of people who were like, yeah, I didn't like it. It's Indy 08 again. Not the case. It is not even close to being the same. Oh my God, I'm still like amped up from this because it's been about an hour and a half since the race has ended, and I just sat there and stared at the screen once the coverage ended, just dumbfounded at the quality of racing that we saw today out of Bristol. I'm being serious. Breathtakingly great. And oh, by the way, for Denny Hamlin, it was his 52nd career victory. 1-2 finish for Joe Gibbs Racing, and with Martin Truex Jr. coming home second right there. And then you had Brad Keselowski coming home third. Does not surprise me that you had three extremely talented veterans finishing 1-2-3 out here. These are the guys that knew exactly what they were doing because they raced in NASCAR when you had to have these tire strategies. They're guys who have extraordinarily high racecraft, meaning the ability to read the situation of the racetrack, the tire combo, how hard or how fast you can wear those tires down, and how to conserve them and go when it is go time. There's a reason these three guys finished 1-2-3. It's because they knew exactly what to do on the racetrack in order to make these tires last. Oh, by the way, you had a couple of other dirt track drivers up there for Hendrick Motorsports coming home 4th and 5th. That didn't get lost on me right there. I mean, listen, Bowman needed, and I cannot stress this enough, he needed a good run after the 500. Sincerely, he needed something to kind of back that up, and now 5 races in, he's got some top 5s to his name. He's starting the rebuild tour, and to be clear, I don't think he's 100% healthy after he injured his lower back. It takes a very long time for that injury to come, for a driver to come back from that type of injury, and we're starting to see that out of Alex Bowman. You have Kyle Larson right there finishing in the top 5 as well. This is another driver who is obviously a dirt track driver and obviously knows what he's doing on the racetrack. Sincerely, awesome job for Kyle Larson coming home top 5. We knew that he was going to be a contender right there, and he absolutely was at the end. Brad Keselowski surprised the hell out of me. I'm being serious. It doesn't surprise me that he finished top 5, honestly. It surprises me that he is running this consistently as an owner. I predicted we're probably not going to see him win another Cup race, and I kind of am still standing by that because he was 7-8 seconds behind Hamlin and Truex right there. It's not like they finished 1, 2, 3 bumper to bumper across the line right there. But Keselowski and RFK have a lot going on. Brad has a lot going on. I've been worried about him being distracted, but he's starting to put together some quiet, very good, consistent top 5 runs, 5 races into 2024. And that should be honestly noticed and taken note of. Maybe this guy isn't done. Maybe he can rattle off another victory, but he needs to get those top 5s and turn them into wins, and finding that little something extra is very difficult. Very difficult. But I do think that Brad Keselowski and RFK have a very good team underneath them right there. And are they peaking too soon? Maybe, but I don't know. You find something now, get hot midsummer, you're peaking at a really good time heading into the postseason. And that's it. That's all the cars that were on the lead lap. 5 cars on the lead lap at the end of this one. Have not seen that in 20, 25 years. It's been a minute. I do not have the exact race in front of me, but holy crap, sincerely. Statisticians are still looking up when that was. It's been a minute. And at one point, we only had one driver on the lead lap. And on top of that, 54 lead changes during this race. Not only is that an all-time record for all short track racing in NASCAR, but it shatters the old Bristol leader change at 41 back in 1991. You're going to tell me that this is a bad race? I'm being 100% sincere. Comments are open. Give me your hot take. Why did this race suck? If you think it sucks, that's perfectly fine. I'm not saying you're an idiot. I'm not saying you're wrong. I want to hear your argument. I'm being sincere here because I want to know what fans didn't like about this. And if your driver crashed out, had a flat tire, I get that. But that's not a reason for you to hate this race. That's a reason for you to hate how your driver ran today. There's a difference in these two things, and I get that. I want to hear objectively from a hater why this race was bad. Sincerely, leave your hot take down below right now. I'm very interested. Kind of a cool note for Hendrick Motorsports. On lap 62, Chase Elliott led the 80th hundred. It is 80,000,000th lap. I mean, we're approaching 100,000 laps led by Hendrick Motorsports in the Cup Series. Can we talk about this team finally being the GOAT of NASCAR? There's been a lot of argument about this. Who is the greatest organization in NASCAR? I still say it's Hendrick Motorsports. We're living in it because they had the Jeff Gordon in the 90s and early 2000s winning a bunch of races and getting those championships. You had Jimmy Johnson in the 2000s and a little bit of the 2010s. And then the 2010s, 2020s are, so-so. The 2010s, I should say, were so-so. The 2020s off to a pretty good start with Chase Elliott, and you have Kyle Larson winning championships, and William Byron's right there knocking on the door. I don't know, man. Hendrick Motorsports has always been on fire. They've found the new next generational driving talent from one gen to the next, and they have been extraordinarily competitive for 40 plus years at this point. So we can honestly say Hendrick Motorsports, probably the greatest NASCAR team in history. By the way, Kobayashi was in Bristol to talk about him racing out at COTA next week, and the question was asked if he thinks that NASCAR would be welcome back in Japan in 2024, 2025, and he said absolutely, and that is amazing. I do not live in Japan, clearly. I don't know what the culture is over there. I don't know how the fan base is in Japan. If you are from Japan and you watch this show, thank you very much. But let me know in the comments. Is NASCAR popular in Japan these days? I don't know. It was a smash hit in 96, I want to say, when NASCAR went to Japan for an exhibition race. That was pretty damn cool. I'd love to see that again. But at the same time, I'd like to see NASCAR go to other tracks here in the United States, or at the very least, up in Canada and down in Mexico before we head over to Japan. I think that it'd be easier on the race teams to head down to Mexico or up to Canada, but at the same time, I wouldn't mind an expansion into all three countries. I mean, sincerely, why the hell can't NASCAR go up to Canada, go down to Mexico, and go over to Japan if the fan base calls for it? I say do it, and clearly the NASCAR Mexico Series is setting the world on fire right now, and I do think that the NASCAR Cup Series can be supported in Mexico. They definitely can be supported up in Canada. In fact, Canada should probably get a couple Cup races, if I'm being sincere, because the demand is that crazy, at least from what I hear. Let me know if I'm wrong in the comments down below. And Japan, I don't know, honestly, because I don't know how great the fan base is out there. But if somebody who is from Japan, who is a fan of NASCAR clearly, is saying, yes, let's go out there, then let's go out there. Let's go ahead and move the Clash out to Japan next year and do it out there somewhere. I'm being 100% serious. If it's in the cards, let's do it. One thing that is sincerely going to be a massive talking point this week, and probably for the rest of the season at this point, Kyle Busch pit problems continue to persist. How many P's can I fit into one sentence? I don't know. We'll try for another record. Sincerely, this guy has gone through Jackman change, front tire changer. They've already made significant changes. I want to say 2 or 3 times this season alone. We're 5 races in. Are you kidding me? This is what RCR is bringing to the racetrack for clearly their franchise driver? Come on. I mean, problems after problems on pit road for Kyle Busch. This is beyond frustrating. When you're in a tailspin like this, you have to stop the bleeding. And frankly, I know there should probably be some more pit changes on that organization's number 8 car, but let the dust settle. Sincerely, let your guys try again next week. Just give them time to actually work, because when you're moving pieces around, it's moving chairs on the deck of the Titanic. It's absolutely meaningless in the grand scheme. You have to calm down, assess the situation, and stop moving things around. And I know it's easier to move somebody in or out and see that immediate change, or at least the potential for the immediate change, but clearly people are being moved around too quickly over there at RCR. Let the dust settle for a week. I can't say that enough. Just 1 week. And then after Circuit of the Americas next week, reevaluate. At least that's what I would do if I'm RCR. What will probably end up happening? Another pit crew change we'll find out about probably Friday afternoon or so. Who knows? And then we'll head into COTA, and potentially we could or we will not see more pit problems out of Kyle Busch. Christian freaking Eckes. Holy crap, dude. This guy is amazing. I thought that this kid might have a future in NASCAR. This sealed the deal for me. If you are able to hold off a hard-charging, fastly, rapidly approaching Kyle Busch in a truck at Bristol, you have some freaking talent. Christian Eckes 100% deserves all the credit in the world for sincerely being an amazing driver and picking up the victory in the Truck Series out there at Bristol on Saturday night. That was just... Wow. Extraordinarily impressive. If I'm other team owners, especially in the Cup and the Xfinity Series, I'm looking at Christian Eckes now very seriously going, what's your contract situation look like? What's going on with you for 2025? Because that is some sincere talent, and people need to recognize that. Kyle Busch was fast. He won stage 1 and 2. He was probably going to win that race, and Christian Eckes legitimately drove around and passed him and continued to lead and pulled away there for a hot minute. And then Kyle Busch started reeling him back in. And Christian Eckes didn't panic. He kept doing what he needed to do, picked up the victory in that race. Stupid impressive. Very impressive. One of the most impressive drives I've seen in the Truck Series. And to the Truck Series credit, man, we actually saw a pretty damn good little bar burner on a Saturday night out at Bristol. Sincerely. It was a pretty damn good little race. I was thoroughly impressed. Sincerely. I've been given that series crap, and I think that series does deserve continue to catch our crap sporadically, but this weekend wasn't one of those weekends. This weekend, we saw phenomenal racing, mid-pack, all around the pack, honestly. Yes, there was Truck Series antics and stupidity, because a lot of those guys are rookies and pay-to-race drivers who probably shouldn't be in that series. I'm not naming names, I'm just saying, but what we saw over this last weekend was really good. What we saw at Bristol this weekend in general was really good. Kudos where they're due. Good job, Truck Series drivers. You put on a hell of a little show. Now, time for my favorite part of the show, where we open up the comments down below and go ahead and take on in your hot takes. Go ahead and leave a comment down below for anything in the world of motorsports or NASCAR, and you could be read here on the program. Let's go ahead and start with this one. They can't race at Kansas in November. Weird how that needs to be explained. No. I didn't even mention weather. I didn't want to be that mean about it, but I mean, you went there. I didn't. I'll take that. Yeah. I mean, you can't race those two areas in those times. The only racetracks that are realistically available, a racetrack in Fontana, California in a couple of years, a racetrack probably in Arizona, maybe Nevada, maybe Texas, and I'm stressing maybe Texas, and Florida if you're very, very lucky. Maybe a road course somewhere, but NASCAR's never going to end the season on a road course in my lifetime. And with that, maybe this will make aged NASCAR at some point. I don't know. I'm hoping, but I doubt it, so we'll see. Are you an idiot? Maybe. Having safety crew on track is already dangerous. Tom Price, IROC. 2 people died in that incident. Yeah, listen, anytime you're involved in motorsports, as a safety personnel, crew member, anybody near the racetrack on any given race weekend, in any series, you are putting your life in danger. I cannot make that more clear, period. But at the same time, with safety track workers, there are immense steps in training that go into making sure that they are safe. Using those safety vehicles as what are known as blockers for the safety crew between where the debris is / where they're working and the cars that are passing on hopefully the bottom or the top of the racetrack away from the safety workers. And a lot of that is due to, unfortunately, tragedy on the racetrack. But NASCAR, a lot of race organizations put a lot of work into making sure that the men and women working on the racetrack are safe. There will always be work to do in the safety realm. What does Junior think? Very good question. This legitimately could be a segment, and maybe it should be. Let me know in the comments below. What does Dale Earnhardt Jr. think about the racing we saw out at Bristol this last weekend? Let's check Twitter. Bravo, Goodyear Racing. These drivers got to be smart with these tires today. We will see who can balance pushing towards the front versus killing their tires. This is fun to watch. Oh, yeah. Listen to Dale. Listen to Dale on this one. He's 100% right. I was watching this race, and as this started unfolding, I started seeing what was happening. I got excited because I knew we were about to see a barn burner. And I was sitting there wondering, oh God, how's the internet going to take this? How are the fans going to react? Because this is true racing. Are the fans really going to embrace true, pure, just racecraft at its finest in NASCAR? Or are they going to rebel and absolutely hate this? This is the test of the Netflix crowd. Are they going to get it? Are new fans going to get it? I'm not dissing you. Are you going to get what racing is? Or are you going to push away from it because it's not the stereotypical wreckfest, go for qualifying laps for 500 laps? Where was this going to fall on the spectrum? And it at least appears in the first few hours that it's leaning towards fans loving pure racing, pure motorsports. Yes, there's a minority of people who dislike that, and that's fine, because the brilliant thing about this is that we can agree to disagree on this. But for the moment, it seems that most people love this racing, and Junior very much swayed me going, Junior's endorsing this. Ooh, it has a chance. Oh, me likey. Because it really, truly opened the doors for me mentally to go, fans will love this. We'll get to keep it. We'll get to do more of this. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to see this racing every single week because it wouldn't be special then. It would just be the norm. But if we see this every time we go to a short track or once every other short track all year long, that's going to be special. That's going to be amazing. And this truly was amazing. Coming up this weekend, triple header action coming at you with the NASCAR Truck Series Saturday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern at Circuit of the Americas, the NASCAR Xfinity Series Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern, also at Circuit of the Americas, and the Cup Series will take on COTA in Austin, Texas on Sunday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern. Great weekend of racing coming at you at Circuit of the Americas. It's a phenomenal area, phenomenal racetrack. Yes, it's long. Yes, it's an extremely wide racetrack. I'm interested to see how the out-of-bounds rule will kind of work this weekend. That was kind of the huge drama last year, is what's out of bounds, where's the racetrack start and end, and NASCAR has kind of the opposite problem that F1 does. F1, they're very tight and they're very strict on track limitations, but in NASCAR, they're almost non-existent. So I'm very interested to see how NASCAR polices that this weekend, pressures on them a little bit to make sure that we don't have drivers diving off the racetrack and taking those Ross Chastain shortcuts to try to find the advantage, but at the same time, being fair about it. So I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. Interested to see what Kobayashi does at this racetrack. I don't know. It's going to be fascinating to see how this plays out. You're just going to have to watch this weekend. It should be a phenomenal race out at Circuit of the Americas. And just like the racing that we saw in Bristol today, I don't want the show to end. I don't. I'm sad. I'm legitimately sad. I could sit here and talk for hours on how amazing the racing was today out at Bristol, and I'm being dead serious. And part of me wants to. Part of me thinks I'm probably going to just jump on iRacing and nerd out with everybody about how great the racing was, sincerely. Might be streaming over on Hey Alan Bailey on Twitch or Twitch or Kick or even the Team Chaos YouTube channel, so go check out those links in the description down below. And while you're there, make sure that you go ahead and mash that subscribe button so that you come on back for the next episode. We're going to be either here on Thursday night or Friday morning with a new episode, so we will be back here in a few days. No show for the named now NASCAR Xfinity Series show, but not revealed yet. The reveal is coming on Wednesday. We'll go ahead and give you that little tease. It's coming on Wednesday, so make sure that you come back for that one. And of course, you can always log on to arnrace.com for the latest motorsports news. ARN, the Motorsports Authority. I want to thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. For Shifting Gears post-Bristol 2024, I'm Alan Bailey. We'll see you at the track.